David, Schneider Electric are well known amongst the large data center community and mission critical facilities, but what about what's going on for them amongst smaller businesses? What's the offer there?
So you're right, we're absolutely renowned worldwide for our data center expertise, for our energy management. But what we've seen in the last number of years in particular is that there's big changes happening in the small IT space. And by small IT space, I don't just mean SMBs and SMEs, very important to us, but also branch office, remote office. You can imagine how many of those there are in the world. In fact, there's given to be around 43 to 1 times more small IT spaces than there are data centers. And the footprint of the small IT space is known to be twice that of the data center. So the opportunity and the challenge is very, very real. So what we've noticed is that IT equipment, physical IT equipment through virtualization, cloud, co-location is shrinking in those spaces. And because of the kind of things I mentioned before, like bring your own device and new trends in the workplace, there's some real challenges happening in those environments. And what's actually occurring, which is really interesting, is that connectivity is becoming absolutely essential in those environments. So now you have a smaller IT package, but still it really needs to be well protected, because if you lose your connection to the outside world, you're in real trouble. So what we're doing is we're putting a focus on the small IT environment, and we're pulling together all of our best practice, world-renowned individual devices to make a portfolio that can build solutions for those environments. And we're stood at a really good example of that, because traditionally you think of the small IT environment, naturally you think of server room, you think of wiring closet. But another solution that we're starting to offer now, and one of the first to do it, is to bring your IT out into the open office environment. So what we have here is an NetShelter CX, which allows you to do that. It's a soundproofed server room in a box. Essentially, it's got power distribution and cooling built in. So stood right beside us here, you've got all this noisy IT equipment you couldn't typically put in the open office environment. Now you can essentially just, with a NetShelter CX, a UPS, maybe a NetBots for security or environmental monitoring, just add servers or switches, add your connectivity, wheel it into an office, close the doors, and really importantly, get back to focusing on what your core business is and not messing around with IT. So you can deploy it off the back of a truck, connect it up. Someone at base is watching for a remote connection to pop up online. You're off and running. So if you're a retail giant, for example, like here in the UK, maybe you've got 100 outlet stores, like one that I know, you could deploy a smaller version of an NetShelter CX with a single server, switch, router, Wi-Fi into the office. It's done and dusted in an hour on one day, and it can be bought off the shelf. And that's the kind of solution I think that our partners and our customers are crying out for, that we're now really putting big attention on.